really what I'd say is a subset of Omicron, BA2. It's a variant that has not been established or called its own variant yet. It's more of a subset of Omicron. It may be even a little bit more contagious than what we've traditionally called Omicron, but we haven't seen that as it doesn't seem to be much different than Omicron currently in how it behaves. We have not seen a BA2 isolate that I'm aware of here, although it may be here and it may be coming. Again, these variants kind of outcompete each other, and the ones that are most infectious tend to be the ones that rise to the top. Omicron in general in the United States is 99.9% of isolates. We share isolates with a state collaborative, and every one of ours that we've sent lately has been Omicron with the BA1. So we haven't seen a BA2 yet. Again, doesn't mean that it's here. I don't think it's any reason to change our approach, as it's to date seems very similar in its behavior to what we've traditionally called Omicron. The booster dosing has slowed down to some extent. I think individuals who are most concerned and most in need of a booster have sought that out. I think the next approach going forward is, as we've said before, we're not going to test our way out of this. We're not going to boost our way out of it. It's really getting people who are unvaccinated vaccinated for the first time. So that has slowed down to some extent, because I think there's certainly people who've already gotten their boosters and been vaccinated. And there are other people who have decided they're not going to get vaccine at all. And so there's not a ton of movement either way. This has been an incredible virus, though. Particularly Omicron, right? It has sought out the pocket, despite the fact that very high numbers of Americans have now been vaccinated or had COVID. It continues to find those individuals who haven't been vaccinated and haven't had COVID. And so those are the people that really are coming into the hospital. It remains to be seen. I'm not really sure exactly how children under 5 is going to affect the pandemic. Certainly the more individuals in a society that have some degree of immunity, whether it's from having COVID or been vaccinated or both, will certainly help decrease transmission. And so I would expect there to be some effect on transmission and rates of COVID in our communities when that group starts vaccination. I don't know that it'll be a significant amount right now as the numbers are continuing to come down, but we'll see how it goes. What we'll see is a continued decline over the next couple of weeks, and at some point it's going to plateau and we'll move from the pandemic phase to the endemic phase. You're starting to see that in parts of the country that have higher vaccination rates. So they're moving down more quickly. Parts of the country that have lower vaccination rates are moving down more slowly. That makes plenty of sense. But I think over the next several weeks, we'll continue to decline and then hopefully get to some plateau where we're dealing with it like we deal with influenza every year. But it's a lot easier to deal with and recognize, and we have outpatient therapies for it. All of that is predicated on not having a variant arrive that our current immunity from vaccine or having had COVID is rendered useless. So it's all about the next variant if and when that comes. But I think if that did not come, then in the next several weeks, we'll start to plateau and deal with it kind of on a chronic basis. And then the tricky part for places is going to be, what now, right? When do you stand down, masking advice? When do you stand down those kind of social distancing precautions? A lot of people have stood those down on their own already. And so there's not, you're not going to satisfy everybody. You're going to stop it too soon for some people and too late for others. And so, but I think in the next few weeks, you'll start to see places start to stand down some of those precautions.